Welcome to the demonstration of Newgen's commercial property underwriting workbench solution. Over the next 15 minutes, we will guide you through how our advanced solution revolutionizes the underwriting process, leveraging our low code or no code automation platform. Before we move ahead to the Newgen's underwriting solution demonstration, let's look at a few facts and figures related to challenges in underwriting space. As per industry researchers, 68% of property and casualty underwriters find assessing the complex risks challenging. 41% of property and casualty underwriters struggle with the data management challenges and document related challenges. The average time to underwrite a commercial property policy is approximately 12 to 15 days. And also, automation could reduce underwriting expenses by 25 to 30% for property and casualty insurers. So, to overcome the operational, managerial, and business challenges, Newgen presents its commercial property underwriting workbench solution. So, let's go ahead and look at the solution end to end from starting the submission, going through different underwriting stages, and then ultimately quotation is being issued in the form of a document, and how the whole journey looks like for an underwriter. So to start with, Newgen's underwriting solution ensures an effortless application ingestion through various channels. So while brokers can interact through an extended web-based interface or seamless integration with their broker portals, brokers could also send a request for quotation through an email, right? So what you see over here, it's an email which is a broker is sending out to an insurance company for initiating a request for quote. And in this demo video, we are considering an email-based initiation of request for quote. Brokers could send emails to a centralized email ID, in this case, this particular email ID, and Newgen Underwriting Workbench would intelligently extract the information out of the attached document, in this case, an accord form, and also classify the document under the relevant document type. So this is wherein the initiation takes place using an email based functionality. So now, once that submission is ingested through an email, this is the landing page or a login page for an underwriter. So we are considering a persona called Henry, who is an underwriter analyst, and Henry logs into Newgen's underwriting solution to look at the submissions which are there in his bucket. As soon as Henry logs in, Henry lands on a personalized user workspace wherein on the top you see there are certain reports, and this workspace is tailored as per Henry's requirement. Here Henry can view real-time reports such as number of cases at different stages, cases from different line of businesses, and also some SLA based reports. On the left hand side there are various work baskets which are part of the underwriting workflow. The access to these work baskets is as per users' roles and responsibilities. However, Henry is specifically given an access of a work basket which is dedicated for analysts. As soon as Henry clicks on analyst bucket, all the transactions or submissions which are there on Henry's bucket, they appear up over here. Henry reviews the submissions on his work basket and views all the submissions in his work basket. The solution automatically sets the turnaround time for each submission. And then now if I just open on behalf of Henry, open one submission, Henry can view all the business information related to the customer on the left hand side, and then on the right hand side also the document that a broker or an end customer would have attached into an email, and all that is being attached within the submission transaction. On the left hand side, while this loads up, there will be a digital form for Henry to review all the business information. So this is how the form or the digital form looks like on the left hand side. So here you see at the top there are different tabs and how this form has been structured. So you see the system has extracted all the details from the accord form, which can be seen on the right hand side. There is this document window in a split screen view wherein all the documents which are there as a part of this submission are coming up, and the system has extracted all the details related to the customer from the core system or a policy admin system, since it's an existing customer, right? And as soon as Henry clicks on the coverage details, for example, so there are certain alerts which are related to risks which are given by the system, which are triggered by the system, right? And these risk alerts are driven by the rule engine itself. In the submission details section that you see over here, these are certain risk locations which have been identified by the system itself, right? And risk details such as property information and submission level coverages, prior carrier information, all have been pulled up over here. Right. Now there is a tab called risk details wherein the risk related to the property or fire risk mitigation or heating and electrical systems, fire hazards, smoking policies, whether they are adequate or not, whether they are visible or not. So all the risks related to each location, which can be categorized into multiple subcategories, have been populated or given over itself, right? And then all these are captured from the accord form itself, because typically accord form would have these details. The solution provides the risk profiling, right? This feature basically leverages the integration of geocoding, event response, and locational intelligence. So what it means is the risk locations are geocoded to understand the different perils, exposures at a particular location, right? So the user could select a geolocation or a risk ID location, and then using integration as well, the details related to the risk of a particular location have been pulled up, right? So these are the exposures at a particular location, or natural catastrophic loss exposure, if any, and relate the risk scores related to occupancy, adjacent risk, construction, common and special hazards, loss accumulation, and an overall risk accumulation view is shown up to an underwriter on the screen itself. And then these risk scores are fetched from third-party providers such as Precisely or any third-party data provider available with the insurer. So you see, the idea is to bring all the data, all the information, and the content related to a submission on a single unified screen itself for an underwriter to work upon. The underwriting workbench is also integrated with third-party portals to perform these checks and balances. And for example, to perform certain checks such as OFAC or DNB, which is done in Bradstreet, credit rating checks, something like, for example, Moody's or any other third-party rating agency which an insurer wants to leverage. And this is about external checks and balances. However, if there is an internal check of a duplicity of a particular quotation, that could also be done over here in the checks section itself. Customer details are being pulled or fetched from a CRM software as well. So for example, if it's an existing customer for whom a new quote has, or a renewal quote or a new quote has been generated, so for that, if the data is already there in a CRM system, Newgen solution could pull it up and also populate certain scores like financial stability or previous claims experiences or any potential losses which could be there for a particular location or a particular customer. And if there is a loss run report which is already there existing, within an insurance company's document management system or somewhere in the repository. Uh, that document, that loss run report, could also be fetched up onto the screen here itself, and then user will be able to view that loss run report by the user. So it could come up over here and could be shown to the user. So right now, this report is stored in Newgen's OmniDocs, which is Newgen's organic document management system. But then if there is any existing document management system, this underwriting workbench solution could integrate with that as well. And over here, it can pull that document and all those details or reports or records related to any customer. Right. So that being said, this was till now it was coverage details, risk profiling on the basis of a rule engine and the rule-driven risk management. Also, the third-party risk scoring or checks and balances that have been done. Now, after the AI-driven risk profiling and rule-based checks and balances, Newgen provides an AI-driven underwriting appetite check to underwriters as well. Now, what does it mean? Based on the proposer's information provided in the submission application form, an appetite score is generated to assist an underwriter whether to create the quotation or not. And based on exposures and hazard data, the risk scoring is done. And also things like ratings that are there will also be applied as per the loading or discounts. At the bottom, you could see that there is a risk location or risk score related to a particular ID. So herein, the system has, with the help of AI technology and the rule engine that we have, the activity types and the risk IDs, accordingly the risk score have been identified and calculated, and it has been categorized into low, high or medium risks as it goes. Right? And at the bottom, there is also a provision to create or generate a new quotation. So for example, in order to create a quote now out of this submission, what an underwriter can do, there could be multiple quotations. So that is why this functionality is given, that in a table, multiple quotations could be generated or created. If it is an existing quote that needs to be reused, the user could use that. Otherwise, if it is a new quotation, the policy start or end date automatically gets applied onto the application itself, and the user could also change it as per its requirements. So for example, I just want to make this policy be effective from maybe 27th, and then whatever is the policy end date, it automatically picks up 1 year date from here, right? So these are small functionalities which help an underwriter to to do certain things in an automated manner. I could also set up the expiry date of a quote from here itself, and the quote number is generated or quote number is created submission itself. So once that quote is generated or the quote number is generated, the status gets also auto-populated, and as soon as I log in or as soon as I click on this quote now, if I scroll down at the bottom, you see all the clauses, conditions, exclusions, and warranties have been auto-populated on the basis of the type of quote or if there are any deductibles related to this, and also a drill down view of a premium on the level of coverages as well, right? If there are any discounts that need to be applied, that could also be done from here. Or otherwise, there is also a final premium grid over here wherein the premium could be seen. So an underwriter can generate a quote, and system automatically applies the wordings, deductibles, and everything over here as you see. And we have used two AI ML models in this solution. One is the underwriter risk appetite score, which is leveraging historical data of a customer and also historical data of other submissions in the past 1 year, and then it accordingly identify the risk as you see. And there is also a AI ML model which basically tells the probability of acceptance of a quote. So this quotation has a probability of 96.76% of being accepted by a broker or the customer, right? And then if there are any discounts that need to be applied, like low risk, loyalty or retention, no claim history, all of that could also be checked over here, or maybe included over here in the premium, and ultimately the premium will get also changed. And then while each underwriter might have different capacities or certain budgets, so they could also see, or Henry now can see the underwriting capacity report of whatever is the budget left, and how much has Henry achieved, and what are the loss ratios in each line of businesses as well, right? So these are all the things which an underwriter can see at the screen level itself. Now, once that quotation is generated in the system, and all the clauses, warranties, deductibles have been applied, there is also a functionality to generate a document out of this quotation. So on a click of a button on the right hand side, I am also able to see the quotation document that has been generated. I can view this quotation document, and these quotations which are being generated in the form of a document are template based documents, wherein we could configure these documents accordingly as per an insurer's uh, you know marketing and branding guidelines. They could also define these different type of quotes which are there as a part of which are being generated as a part of their business function, right? So this is again an illustrative quote that has been generated. All the details on this quotation have been populated, have been fetched from the screens that you saw from there itself, and all the warranties, exclusion, deductibles, and if there is any clause that needs to be entered, all of that have been pulled automatically. So this way, an underwriter need not to go to different systems to perform all these actions. They could do it here itself. After evaluating the scores and viewing all the risk scores driven by AI, Henry can open up a follow up tab wherein if there are any missing documents or missing information, Henry could straight away come here and raise certain requirements related to missing documents, for example, certain images, and then system could trigger an email to the broker or end customer in order to request for a document. There are also broker related details which are being shown to an underwriter if needed, and all these details are nothing but specific to a broker. And last but not the least, while every detail has been checked and the submission has been reviewed, Henry, as an underwriting analyst, has multiple decisions to take. For example, if there is a duplicate, this was a duplicate submission, the Henry could simply select this decision or also submit it as a happy flow, right? And created code, Henry could simply put some remarks and mark this submission as done from this point, and then send it to the next stage of underwriter who can be an associate. So this case moves ahead to the next stage, which is basically an associate level underwriter. So as the submission moves to the next stage, which is an associate work basket, considering that Tim is an underwriter who is of an associate level, Tim also logs into Newgen's workspace or Newgen Workbench solution, and on his workspace, Tim is able to see all the transactions or all the submissions which are there in his basket, his work basket. So that transaction has moved to the next stage, which is basically an underwriting associate level. Here, the details that will be provided to Tim would be same as an analyst, but then some more details could also be populated. For instance, Tim, an associate underwriter, wants to follow up with the customer related to some details, or also wants to take a decision related to risk inspection or declining or reassigning this particular case. Tim could do that and take decision accordingly. And Tim could also initiate a remote risk inspection for COP evaluation, that is construction occupancy protection and exposure inspection, which can be done remotely or manually as well once the underwriter takes a decision called risk inspection, and then this transaction or this submission will move on to the inspection stage. So all these functionalities are there. Obviously, the underwriter could assign it to reinsurance team or reassign it to someone else for more inspection, right? So I'll just simply submit it from here and mark the case as done. And in the backend, the quotation document which got generated will move to the next stage. Also, there will be an email triggered to an end customer or the broker with that document being attached. So this is an email and the quotation document that system has triggered as a correspondence and communication to the broker itself. Right. So this has an email body, and then also the document which got generated, which is the quotation document, and herein the broker or the end customer could look at it and also reply on the same email for acceptance or rejection. So over here, the broker could simply, or the customer could simply, reply that saying that I accept the quote, and in the back end, this email will be consumed by Newgen's underwriting solution, and the system would start working for creating a policy after it, so that sending the whole package of submission and acceptance of quote to the policy binding stage. So once that quote is accepted, the transaction or the submission moves to a stage called quote sheet, wherein now you see there are no underwriting tabs or the scores which were visible at an underwriting stage, wherein what it means that all the users have different UI and different access to the details and information which is there, right? So at the quote sheet level also, this user could send it for an approval or maybe request for a modification in the quote, wherein if it is a request for modification, it should flow back to the underwriter, otherwise it can simply go forward to create a policy document as well onto the next stage. So the next stage is issue binder, wherein a policy is supposed to get bound, and any operations user could open or access this particular transaction here, and they could simply generate the policy. So as per operation user discretion, a policy package is bound and shared with customer. So at the top, at the actions button, there is a template defined already for the policy template, and while this is a policy document, it could have different nuances to it, and the user can simply generate this just like the quotation document got generated. And ultimately, the user will also be able to see it, and this template or the policy document also gets sent with the help of an email to the end broker or customer. Right? And then over here, the operation user can also take decision and simply submit it from here. So this way, Newgen's underwriting solution could streamline and standardize the underwriting function by providing a single and unified interface. All the data and documents are brought to single layer from multiple fragmented internal or external IT systems, making the daily operations more efficient. This solution not only eases an underwriter's job to assess risks and manage data, but also significantly reduces the average time to underwrite a commercial property policy. So, with that, that was my time. Thank you for hearing it patiently and viewing our solution. Thanks a lot.